Hey everybody, it's Savannah Taylor, the Gardenista, your kitchen garden coach. Welcome back to my classroom. So today we are going to talk about how to get the best tomato harvest that you can get, especially if you have a small space, a small garden. And look, I am growing tomatoes in my green stalk here. And listen, if you think you can't grow a ton of food in something that only takes up a little bit of space, watch today's video and then tell me about it. You can absolutely, I have at least 10 tomato vines growing in this green stalk, and not just tomato vines. As you can also see, I have onions, I have lettuce, I have a lot going on here. So today we're going to talk about, though, once your tomato vines start coming up, they still need what we call pruning. Now, pruning is a technique. It's not super complicated, but you do need to know what you're doing, especially when it comes to tomato plants. So what I'm going to show you is how to locate the vine to prune, where to prune on your plant. And then I'm also going to give you another little tip where you can make or get even more tomato plants from your plant. Yes, you heard me correctly. Even though these tomato vines are already underway, I can actually make more tomato plants from my tomato vine. So stick around. We're going to get into that. But just really quickly, before I show you that, tomato vines can be divas, you guys. I actually, if you followed me for any length of time and I talk about tomatoes, I do kind of call them the divas of the garden. And I say that because you really want to be careful what you plant around your tomatoes. There are certain things you don't want to plant because they can catch disease kind of easily. Okay. Also, when watering your tomato plants, don't hose them down. Okay. Try to aim your hose or whatever you're using to water your plants with, aim for the soil. Okay. Because you don't want to splash back soil onto your tomato vines or your tomato plants, because again, disease. Okay. They catch disease kind of easily. So just be careful with that. But other than that, you should be successful. I think I grow tomatoes the easiest. And every gardener has their, thing that they grow the best. To me, sometimes I don't even try and I will get tomato plants. The seeds are so tiny that they kind of blow everywhere. So sometimes at the end of the year, I'm seeing little tomato plants sprouting up all over the place because somehow those seeds got away from me. I don't know why. But one other thing that I want to talk to you about, because when we're talking about tiny seeds like tomato seeds, also bell pepper seeds are kind of tiny, lettuce seeds, all those little tiny seeds, it can be very frustrating to plant those one by one in your pots, and you're waiting and waiting and nothing happens. So I just did a video on what's called crowd planting. Crowd planting is a fantastic way to get germination from those tiny little seeds that might not germinate. You basically just spread them out in some soil, and they're all going to come up. I'm not going to get into it because, like I said, I did a whole video on it, but it really does improve your odds of getting germination of several seeds at a time, instead of trying to do one by one and then crossing your fingers and then wah wah, nothing. So yeah, tiny seeds like tomato seeds and bell pepper seeds and lettuce seeds and all those little things, especially herb seeds, which can be kind of tiny. The video that I just did, I'll put a link down below, is going to help you out a lot. All right. So let's get into how we're going to get more tomato plants and a great harvest. So again, what you want to do is you want to find the plants, the sucker plants that are growing right in what's called the apex. Now you see that right here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to pinch it off just like that. All right. Boom. Done. Here's another one that's slightly larger. See, it's growing in the V of the vine. Okay. I'm just going to go in there, pinch her off, done. And then this tomato plant, which is already growing so beautifully, is going to continue to be able to reserve its energy. Now, here's an example of a beautiful sucker branch that's growing in the apex that I'm going to use my shears to remove, because what's going to happen is, and I purposely let this get a little longer than the other sucker plants, because when they're big like this, you can remove them, place them in water, let them grow roots, and guess what you got? Another tomato plant. So it really is a fantastic way to get more tomato plants. And I have a mason jar already here. And look at this. You just put it in water, and in, I'd say, a week or so, you're going to see some roots forming, and you're going to be able to plant this in the soil and get a whole other tomato plant. Isn't nature wonderful? Now, my tomato plant is just doing beautifully. I'm growing it here in my green stock, which I have done several videos on. If you follow me at all, you know I sing the praises of two things: grow bags and the green stock planter. And you can grow anything in a green stock. I am growing this year several tomato plants, and they go all the way around. I'm also doing just, I know we're not talking about kitchen scraps, but these are actually kitchen scraps. These onions and this beautiful lettuce here, this romaine lettuce that's just really taken off. And then over here, just some more lettuce right there. These are kitchen scraps, you guys. So again, this is a green stock, and you can grow pretty much anything in here. Now, back to the tomatoes. You do only want to put this green stock can take up to 30 things. You can plant up to 30 things. Yeah, 30. That's a ton of food. So if you're short on space, you can absolutely do a lot in this green stock, which only takes up about the space of a welcome mat. But that said, I only put one seed, one tomato seed in each pot, because the vines can get pretty thick. Let me see if I can find, yeah, see right here. Now, as you can see, I accidentally did put two seeds in this pot, and luckily it's doing okay. But when intentionally trying to plant, I recommend just one seed per pot. And I did, like I said, I have a video that I just did on how to germinate tiny seeds, because sometimes, and I'll tell you, I'll just be transparent, I did put a seed in each of these pots, and all of them didn't germinate. And that happens sometimes. So there you go. And I'm just showing off my green stock again. See how I can turn it and I can actually move it. I had this a little closer under the patio here where it could still get sun, because tomatoes do need full sun. So don't forget that. They do need full. You don't want to grow tomatoes under a shady tree. All right. So even though I do keep this under my patio, I keep it under a place in my patio where it can still get sun. And if I feel like, we're having a lot of overcast or whatever, look, I can turn my plants around if the heat gets too intense and I don't want to stress my plants out. I can just, move it further under the shade, under the patio, and bring it out when it's a little cooler. The other thing is, if you have at least 3 to 4 more months of warm, sunny weather, it's not too late to get your tomato seeds in the soil. So again, they don't do well in cold weather, you guys. You can't grow tomatoes in frost. But again, if you've got 3 to 4 more months of some nice sunny weather ahead, it's not too late to get your tomatoes in the soil. All right. And that's all I have for you all. If you have any questions, I always say there's no such thing as a dumb question. If you had that question, I guarantee you someone else had that question. And again, if you have comments or whatever, put them down below. I'm usually really good at getting back to you guys. All right. So until we grow something else, I'll see you then. All right. Bye.